Hackers have attacked Myanmar government websites as part of protests against the military coup. As concerns grow, Singapore and Indonesia say that they will support an informal ASEAN meeting on Myanmar.
Traffic slows to a crawl in Yangon as protesters drive at a snail's pace. It's a show of opposition to the military coup. Others pretended their cars were broken down to disrupt roads. They want to block security forces from moving around and prevent people from heading to work. Tens of thousands are on the streets again, a day after some of the biggest protests yet against the takeover. Some have camped outside local jails, waiting for news of family members who have been detained. Tensions flared overnight in Mandalay after clashes between police and striking railway workers. Soldiers and police fired rubber bullets to break up a protest that had blocked the railway tracks, injuring at least one person. Arrest warrants have also been issued against 6 celebrities, including film directors, actors, and a singer. They are accused of encouraging civil servants to join the protests, charges that can carry a 2-year prison sentence.
Leon Wykett joins us live now for more on this story. Wykett, hackers targeting Myanmar government websites to protest the coup. How effective can this tactic be in pressuring the government?
Well, Don, if we look at this as a standalone tactic, some might say it's creative, some might say it sends a stronger signal and message to the Myanmar army. But if you look at it from the point of view of how the protests have evolved in the last 2 weeks, collectively it sends a very strong message and pressure to the Myanmar army. We've seen how the protests have gone in various directions, from your early street protests, which are still ongoing, to how Generation Z protesters have creatively come up with pictures or captions to draw attention to the situation in Myanmar. And as we've seen earlier, there are people who drive on the road slowly to ensure that people don't get to work on time, to encourage the strike. So we do know that protesters have stamina in terms of sustaining the protest movement. The question is, what's next for the protesters?
Well, the military government has also deployed, we know, a large number of troops to contain those protests. But what else can be done?
Well, the fear on everyone's minds right now is really a violent crackdown, bloodshed. But for now, that's not happening as yet. We have seen a range of tools that the army has been using, from your very early warnings to changing laws to blocking the internet to using live rounds, as we've seen earlier on parts of Myanmar. But for now, it seems that the trend is, by day, the protesters are allowed to go out to protest. But by night, the authorities turn off the internet. They go and arrest people by night.
Well, countries around the world, and even in this region specifically, are watching this very keenly, Wykett. And Singapore and Indonesia are now proposing an informal ASEAN meeting to discuss Myanmar. What can we expect of this?
Well, Don, there are some hurdles to clear. First of all, we'll need all 10 ASEAN members, including and especially Myanmar, to come together to talk informally. And looking at the Myanmar Army's foreign policy right now, it does seem that they will want to engage Myanmar. And it would make sense for the generals, because if they look inwardly, they are seeing resistance from people who fervently say no to Myanmar military rule. If they look to the West, they see sanctions, they face international condemnation. But if they look to their backyard, you have ASEAN saying, come on, Myanmar, let's have a chat quietly and let's see how things can go on. So the question really is just how much of ASEAN's constructive engagement policy with Myanmar would inspire the Myanmar army to do something.